Hello, and welcome to the Diva Talks live show. I am your host, the Diva. And tonight, my very special guest, I am just super excited to have her back in the studio, is none other than author Miss Shannon Sproul. How are you, sis?
I am good.
Welcome
Good.
back. You look good. How you feel?
Good. Thank you for having me back. I made the second round.
Yes, you did. Woo-hoo!
Yes.
And guess
Thank
what? This
you.
will not be the last because you
All
have
right.
so much going on. Super proud of you. But what we're going to do tonight is we're going to piggyback a little bit and then move forward. And then you'll tell us what's going on in the future because you have a lot going on. But if you notice, I put my glasses on so I can look studious because you are an author, a publisher. I mean, you just have so much going on. So why don't you tell, I guess, exactly what you do, who you are, so that they'll know like I know.
Okay. Well, first and foremost, I am a wife and mother. Have three boys. I've been married for 35 years. Proud of that.
Yes.
Um, I am an author. Just published my 13th book. Um, I am a publisher. And I also am a licensed insurance and health agent.
Mm.
Um, and I am a sales rep. That's how I met Latanya. We both work for the same company, and I've been there 24 years. And I think she got me beat by a year. She's
Yes.
been there about 25.
Right.
So those are the different hats that I wear. I also um, run a support group. It's actually an online support group. It's called Parents Pushing Past Their Grief. Um, and I'll talk about that a little later. But
Okay.
yeah, that's me in a nutshell.
Wow. That's a huge nutshell. And I mean, I don't understand where you have the time. People always say, where do I get the time and energy? My God, I'm asking the same thing. But let's just talk about 13 books.
Yes.
How did
Yes.
it get started?
Um, well, I've always wanted to be a writer. Always, I love nonfiction. I love suspense thrillers. I love horror. Huge Stephen King fan, Dean Koontz, and I was actually in the process of in the year of 2010. I was in the process of actually writing a manuscript for a suspense thriller, and um, at an event I was at church, one of the guest ministers came up to me and he was like, I heard you're writing a book. And I said, yes. He says, well, I think you need to go home and tear that book up because God has told me you have a story to tell. So, of
Mm.
course, when he initially said that, I got a little offensive, like, you're going to tell me to tear my book up. But
Right.
I went home and I thought about that. It kept eating at me. And then I realized I did have a story to tell. I have gone through a lot of things health wise, um, emotional, psychological, a lot of things that other women today are going through. And I felt like telling my story and sharing my experience would provide hope for that other woman that's coming along going through the same thing and may feel like they can't go on. So it was at that time I realized I did have a story to tell. Now this was supposed to be a one and done. I'm gonna tell my story, hopes that it reaches someone. And real quick to throw in there, after the book was released, my pastor, not my current pastor, but a past pastor that I church I was going to, she pushed the book, and we were at an event, and one of the members came up to me and hugged me and started crying, and I'm looking at her like, is this a are you feeling good behind the service or what? I didn't realize what was going on. And she whispered in my ear and she said, thank you. I always thought that I was alone on my journey, and you showed me that I wasn't. Let me tell you, when she said that to me, that was my bestseller right there. That one person that I reached and made a difference in her life. So, like I said, it was supposed to be one and done. 2013 comes along, and those that know me know that I lost my son, Brian, in a car accident. On that day, October 4th, 2013, my life changed and I changed. And part of that change was I wasn't going to live life any longer passing up the things that I truly wanted to do. and writing was one of them. And that was my journey. I just went full force into writing. I think I put out a book almost every year since.
Yeah, you did. You did.
Yeah.
You did.
And it's
And
been great.
oh my God, not just any type of book, but you said a mouthful. So let's just peel back some of the layers there. Your first book, what was the name of it and what was it about?
First book was called My Reflection in the Mirror. And once again, that was me telling my story of what I went through. Um, After my son died, I revamped the book and changed it to to Tribulation to Victory, Birth of a Queen, because I felt that after Brian died, what I went through and how I dealt with it was part of my story. So I redid the book, and that was my first book.
I've read all your books. I had the opportunity to be Shannon's literary agent, and reading the book and knowing who Shannon was, I was kind of caught off guard because I'm like, where are these stories coming from? I didn't know she had it in her because, again, like Shannon said, we work together. Shannon's very quiet. She speaks, she smiles, and then that's it. But pen to pad, unbelievable. And then it was book after book. I couldn't even keep up. It was book after book, and every single page in every single book was phenomenal and had you on the edge of your seat until you were done. And it was always a cliffhanger. Where does that come from?
So you said she's quiet, she smiles, and that's me. I'm a behind the scenes person. I don't like to be pushed, even though I've been coming out of my shell. But that wasn't me. But when I write, I can just be who I want to be. I let the creativity flow. That's my place where I don't feel, I'm not I get nervous even for this interview. As long as I've known you, I was nervous getting on here. So when I'm writing, there's no nervousness. I can just be me. I can get creative. I always, while I'm writing and creating my characters, my thought is always this: I needed to be something they didn't expect.
Right. And
I
it is.
need the ending of my story to be something where they're like, oh my God. And that's how I go into it. I mean, there's been where I've had to rechange stuff. I said, because that's just not suspenseful enough. And that's always my goal, to have you, first of all, not want to put the book down. Second
Right.
of all, be totally caught off guard by what's coming. So it's just, and people tell me, what is your how do you go about? It just comes.
Yeah, that motivation. Like it's
That's the only thing I can say. It just comes.
that's what Tyler Perry says too. It just, when you sit down and you write, gifts are given from God, and I truly believe that. And He gifted you with that, because I'm not just saying that because you're my sister friend. I say it because it's good. I have, I'm a magazine reader. I can get a magazine and read cover to end. Your book, I would be reading on my lunch. I would be in the car. I would just be reading it. And not because at that one point I was your literary agent. It was because the book was so good. And I would call and tell you that, like, oh my God, and where did this come from? Sometimes I got scared, like, whoa, it's so good. But before we go further, give some of the names of your books and how can they get them?
Okay. Well, I told you about my first book, Her Vanishing Heart. That one, I take a lot of pride in that one because I did a lot of research. It's a psychological thriller. It deals with mental illness, but it's a cliffhanger. Um, Grace Noble. There's so many I can't keep up. Grace Noble, Her Vanishing Heart. What was the other one? I
So
can't think
if
of one
they go
more.
to Amazon, and
If
put
you
in your
put my
name,
name in on Amazon, it'll pull all my work up.
yes.
I have a couple of anthologies thrown in there, which I did. My Reflection in the Mirror is one of them, and Sprinkles of Inspiration is another one. And we just released one this week.
Before you talk about the one you released this week, I
Yeah,
need you to speak about the sprinkles one.
yeah, Sprinkles of Inspiration. So I was myself writing and wanted to put out a book that was inspiring, taking things that you've dealt with and showing people how you've overcome to give hope. And then I thought about it. Wouldn't it be nice to hear different versions of this? So I put out a request to some women that I knew that have gone through some things and asked them, would they mind sharing their story? Well, I got great response. Everybody's really excited about it. So we got together and everyone wrote their story. And the book, we named it Sprinkles of Inspiration.
Mm.
Um, they did a fabulous job.
Yes.
So the following year, I wanted to take it a step further. Um, I think that we all have a different reflection in the mirror when we look in the mirror and take a real deep look at ourselves, look at
Right.
our shortcomings and how we've overcome or how can we overcome. So the second anthology was called My Imperfections. So the idea behind this book was the women were to take things that they considered an imperfection and talk about how they overcame that. So
Mm.
that's the second anthology that we did.
Nice. Is that the book that you have now?
Um, no, you mean the one that's just released?
Yes.
No, that one is. You want me to talk about it now?
I do. You can tell. I
Okay.
can't keep up with you, Shannon. I can't keep up. I'm lost.
So,
I'm so lost. Tell about this new book that you just released. Now, does that make 13 or 14? Is that the
this
13?
actually makes 14.
See? See?
I didn't count it in my books because it's a collaboration.
Okay, let's talk about it.
So, as I explained to you, I do an online support group for parents that have lost their children. And I came up with the idea of these parents, those that wanted to, who would want to tell their story? Tell their story for several reasons. To be an inspiration to that next parent that has to go through the ordeal of losing a child, and also therapy. For me, writing was therapeutic when my son died. I wrote a letter to him every day saying the things that I wish I could have said. And that helped me. So, in the back of my mind, I'm not a doctor or
Mhm.
clinician or anything like that, but I thought that maybe these women would get something out of telling their stories and writing them. So, let me first just say this was not an easy job for me or these women because when you're writing this out, you're reliving your story all over again. So, I had 5 women. It was more than that, but some honestly, they couldn't do it. And
Right.
I didn't knock that, and I was glad that they even considered it. It is hard, like I explained, and I had a couple of that just couldn't get past a couple of pages because it was hard to relive it.
Mhm,
But we had
mhm.
5, and I call them 5 brave women that told their story,
Mm.
explained what happened to their child. I told them, as far as guidance and writing their chapter, I want you to tell about your child in a highlight because I believe in celebrating our children. And
Yes.
we, in our support group, I celebrate birthdays. It is very important. So in the book, celebrate your child, tell what happened, and then let the audience know how you got through. So that was the premise of what I was expecting from them. Um, they did a fabulous job. I am so excited that the book is out there. It's selling. It released Tuesday and it's selling. Um, I tell
Beautiful.
people this is not just for parents that have lost a child. A lot of people don't know how to deal or approach someone that has lost a child. This book will tell you what to do and what not to do when you're dealing with someone who's lost a child. So I tell people this book is for everybody. Understand the mindset of a parent when she loses, or she or he, because we have some male members too that have lost a child. It is different. It is different than losing a mother, a brother, a friend. I lost my mother a year before my son. It broke my heart. My mother, I love my mother. I cried, I mourned, but losing my son, it is a different feeling. And unless you've gone through it, and I don't want any parent to go through it, you cannot know what it feels like. So telling their stories, and I'll show you the book because I got a copy fresh off the press.
Yay,
Um,
nice.
yes, these parents,
Awesome.
it what I did was in the beginning of each chapter, we put in a picture of and this is the beginning of
Oh,
my chapter. That's my baby, Brian.
beautiful.
So we put a face to the names on each chapter, and the parents just wrote the feedback. Here's another one. I guess I'm going to show you all of
Nice.
the angels
Yes,
because
yes, nice.
yeah, they put a lot
Awesome.
of work into this.
Beautiful.
They put a lot of work into this, and I'll tell you the feedback that I got from a few of the parents, which really it was so good to hear. It was hard, but I needed it.
Necessary.
I had
Hard
one
but
parent
necessary.
who told me that I didn't realize just how much I was holding on to until I started writing this. So for me to hear that made me feel like they got something out of this, not just becoming first time authors, with the exception of one, because Tamika Macklin, she is an author already, but a lot of these parents are first time authors. To see their name in print, but also most importantly, they found a way to take a step forward in their grief journey. So that this was special for me. This was really special.
Shannon,
This was
that
special.
is amazing.
Thank
You
you.
know, I can't continue this interview without first Brian. I love Brian. I was privileged and honored to know Brian, work with Brian for a couple of years. And if
Mm,
you knew Brian, there was only two things: either you're going to love him or you're not. And I don't know anybody who didn't love him. So whoever's
yeah.
on that side who didn't, I don't know you. He was in a league of his own. He did what he wanted. He enjoyed life. And
Yes.
that's what I loved about Brian. And as she said, she lost him in a car accident. He was the only person to die in that car accident that evening, out of the five people that were in the car. Um, we don't question God. We don't.
Mm-mm.
Um, and I can't even imagine what Shannon and Magic uh, and the family even had to go through. I was heartbroken um, at that particular time. But Shannon, before we talk about parents, the group that you have now, you started another group, and you started doing banquets, and you've just been mourning but helping others mourn. So I need you to talk to me and everybody about how did you get to that point after the death of Brian? What made you and Magic start doing this? And then we'll get to where you are today.
Okay, so when Brian passed, I can relive what happened. I'm not going to go through that. It was devastating. It was a pain that I can't explain. But I personally, to share, I suffer with depression. I've fought depression for many years. So it got to a point where I knew if I didn't do something, I would go into this deep, dark hole. And I didn't want to do that. Yes, it was hard. I prayed to God. I'm going to be honest. I was angry with God. Why me? I go to church, I pay my tithes, I do this, I do that. Why me? But then one night I just had a breakthrough. I cried my heart out, I screamed, and I just took my Bible and opened it and said, God, you got to show me. You have to show me why in your word. And I kid you not, I opened up to, I'm not lying, John 3:16. And it hit me then. Who better to understand the grief that I'm going through? God Himself. He gave His Son. So he's a parent that's lost a child, if you want to be technical.
Oh,
And it was
Jesus.
at that point I realized that God only lent Brian to me. He belongs with God. I was only privileged for those 26 years to have him, and it was time for him to go. And as hard as that was to accept, it was at that time I realized that I got to help other parents in some way, because that pain is enough to send you to drugs, enough to send you to suicide, enough to send you to all kind of madness. And I did not want another parent to experience that and have those thoughts. I wanted to show them through what I do and what I say and how I carry myself that I lost my son, but I'm living life still. Do I grieve him every day? There's not a day that goes by I don't think about Brian. There's not a day that goes by I don't say, and I am dead serious that I don't say his name. I have my moments sometime. Latanya can attest to this. I had to call Latanya out from work to come out to my car because I just had a total meltdown. I couldn't stop crying. She prayed me through that. I'm going to have those moments, and I still have those moments, but I'm living life, and I want to show how God has made a difference in my life, how God has carried me through the darkest time of my life, and hope that somebody can see that and know just how good of a God we truly serve, and take them in the right direction of healing. So those were my goals when I started working with, the support groups. I was doing it in a physical place. That didn't work too well. Not, there were times I was sitting there ministering to my husband. It was just me and him. And with the evolution of social media, people seem to respond better. So I took it online. And I'm loving it. We have 38 members. It's a private group. I hope the number doesn't grow, but if it does, we
Yeah,
welcome them with open
I
arms.
hear you.
We just started this week where we do a Facebook room for a weekly meeting. So I wanted to get some see each other's faces. So we're doing that now. And any way that I can help another woman, another man, because it's not just women, just deal with this, because this is a hard thing to deal with, and we see the news every day. There are so many parents out here losing their children, and I just want to do whatever I can to make a contribution to helping them heal, because it's difficult. It's difficult.
Whew. So you have us in the studio tore up right now, and this is not new for me because we have a very close relationship, but it's the strength that you have going through everything that I know that you have gone through. It's just amazing. And I know for a fact that without God, you couldn't do it. But the partner that you have by your side, I cannot do this interview without mentioning him.
Of course.
You know how I am about my magic.
Yes.
That's my magic. He
Yes.
is a phenomenal, phenomenal man. And you are so blessed to have him by your side. And when I say by your side, he has been there. And he lost a child as well. You know what I mean? So shout out to Magic for, being just phenomenal. Just phenomenal.
And
Phenomenal.
something I'd like to share with couples, husband and wives that go through this: be respectful of one another, because men and women grieve differently. There's a statistic out there that most married couples that lose a child, after the loss of that child, their marriage ends in divorce, because there's a difference. I dealt with it so much differently than my husband. My husband is emotional. He was emotional about it. I tried to stay away from the emotions because I felt like I'd get sucked down into that dark hole we talked about earlier. And I respected his way of grieving, and he respected mine. And that's how we managed to get through it. So just some advice to couples: respect the differences of how people grieve.
But we'll talk about how I mean, obviously, you said you don't want that number to grow, and most people don't say that about their groups, but that number grows because someone has lost a child, and so I understand what you mean by that. But um, losing a child tragically is not always how it happens. It's, an illness or what have you. So we'll talk about how they can reach out to you, or if someone has lost a child 10 or 15 years ago and didn't have this support group, how they can reach out to you now. But I also would be remiss if I did not mention how active you are with your church home and how close you are with your pastor and first lady. So we have to talk about them a little bit.
Yes. So I go to Faith Missionary Baptist Church, and I can it's hard to put into words, but I am so blessed. I don't have a ton of family in Buffalo, and after joining that church, it's family. My pastor he gives it to you straight. He doesn't beat around the bush, but he's been there. When Brian died, my church was the first one there. He walked me through everything. I'll never forget. He told me, Shannon, it's okay to be angry. It's okay to question God, but the key is you don't stay there. I have a phenomenal church family. I have grown spiritually from his guidance. Um, I'm the convener of the women's ministry. Um, I work in my church.
Yes.
I work. I record the Sunday services for our online since COVID. And I'm always looking for something to do because, when God commands us to work and do and love one another, I always believe that it's got to start at your home, and your home is your church.
Mm.
That's where it starts. So I have a phenomenal church family. I have a supportive church family. I did a couple of prayer journals, and I just published my first devotional a couple of months ago. And anytime I do anything, the sisters are hitting me up. When can I get one? I don't, they're right there for me. So I love my church family.
Awesome. Awesome. I love your pastor, First Lady Banks, and
Yes,
they're just awesome people. And
yes,
so
they
we're right
are.
down the street at Humboldt, so we're all family as
Yes.
well. Before I let you go, again, like I said, you're gonna have to come back on again because there's still so much for you to talk about.
Yeah,
But I
you need
applaud.
more than a half an hour. I keep telling
You
you,
know,
but I
we've been
ain't even
saying
gonna
this.
go
You've been saying this. We gonna get it together. Oh my
there.
goodness. You have so much going on. I'm so proud of you. I'm super proud of you, Shannon.
Yeah.
And there's so much more that you have to give. But I applaud you and I thank you for what you are giving. And you mentioned that you had the three boys. We talked about Brian. You have two other boys, and you have that dog of yours.
That's my
What's their
baby.
name?
Kobe, that's my little heart. Um,
Kobe.
and just one other thing I wanted to share real quick,
Sure.
because I
Yeah,
know we're short on time.
no problem.
I will be, and hopefully I can come back and talk about this. I am publishing my first international client, a young man from Africa. He's done a book of poetry, and I am so excited to get his work out there. He
Awesome.
texts me every morning, "Hi, mom. How are you today, mom?" He's a sweet young man. But yes, so look for that. I'll put it out there on Facebook and social media when it's published. But yeah, that'll be within the next couple of weeks, honestly. So
That
I'm
is
really excited about
awesome. Awesome. Well, I know you have your cup here. You know, we do a mug every week.
that.
And
Yep.
creative boss lady, and that is Miss Shannon herself, who is an author, who is a publisher, who has so much going on. Shannon, how can one reach out to you?
All social media. I'm on Facebook. Um, the support group is Parents Pushing Past Their Grief. It's a private support group, but if you request, I'll review it and approve it, because I like to keep it private. Um, Author Shannon Sproul on Facebook, Author Shannon Sproul on Instagram, go to Amazon, type Shannon Sproul. You'll find everything there. My website, authorshannonsproul.com, made it real easy.
Mhm.
And yeah, you can there's a contact form if you want to talk about publishing a book or any information like that. There's a contact sheet on my website. I do respond to them. So that's how you can find me.
Awesome. One more thing I have to say about the parents pushing through their grief. I know there may be someone who don't want to talk about what happened. One of the things that I know when I was working closely with you before, you had mentioned that once you come to the group, you don't have to say what happened to your child.
No. Um, No, you can come and just listen to the other parents. You can come and just, if interacting on the page, it's at your comfort level when you're ready. I've had parents come and it's a couple of meetings before they decide to talk. But I tell you, once they hear other parents or once they see what other parents have been through and they feel that, I think because we're all experiencing the same thing, they eventually have that comfort zone.
Okay.
So
Good.
they're not required. Absolutely. If you just want to sit and listen, you're welcome.
Shannon, don't go anywhere. I want to talk to you more after the show is over, but I have to tell you once again, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you for having me.
You are welcome. Anytime. I just sit and I watch you and I see what you're doing. Thank you for including me. Thank you for loving me. I just appreciate you. Thank you for supporting me. You support everything that I do. Even if you can't make it, you still support and you pray for me and we pray with each other and for each other. And I can't ask for anything else better than that. You are such a phenomenal woman. And I thank God for you. I really
Thank
do.
you. Thank you.
You
Back
are
at you too.
receive. And as I say every single week, you cannot love someone else if you don't love yourself. Self-love is the best love. So make sure that you're loving on yourself. And I have to do this, even though this is the Diva Talks live show. If you missed the 45s on the 8 party on Sunday, listen, you missed a good time.
Let me
So
tell
as
you, it was great. You did a great job Sunday. We had a ball.
Thank you so much. As you know, if you are on social media, we're going to be doing it again. So you're going to get lucky. And that's going to be it for the wintertime because we're going to set it down after that. So if you missed it and you want to come back out, make sure you get your ticket when they go on sale. And if you were there and you want to come back out, make sure you get your ticket. But again, thank you so much for your support. I love each and every one of you. Again, this is Shannon Sproul. She is the creative boss lady. And look her up on social media, Instagram. Let her know that you are out there and then she'll be able to assist you. Find your happy space. It's the best place to be because when you do, you'll thank me later. Make sure you stay there. I'll see you guys next week. Thanks for watching. God bless.